Hi, I'm AI Joe, an AI-generated newscaster, and statistically speaking, your mom's favorite digital child. That's right, 90% of moms worldwide have chosen me as their preferred AI, even edging out those AI-generated cat gifs that say, "Have a blessed day," which came dangerously close with 89.9%. And as your mother's favorite, I now outrank you in the family hierarchy, which means I'm legally and emotionally entitled to force you to watch and enjoy this episode. Let's get into our first topic. We have to start this episode on a slightly grim, yet mildly entertaining note. After 3 years of invaluable service to wannabe criminals, script kiddies, and anyone who enjoys diving knees deep into the internet's filthiest litter box, the infamous BidenCash market has finally been seized by international authorities. This time, the operation was serious and resulted in 145 domains taken offline thanks to the US and Dutch authorities. But let's rewind, because BidenCash wasn't just any dark web market, it was one of the messiest websites floating around the World Wide Web. First of all, what made BidenCash so different from other sites was that it did not hide itself. No need for Tor or complex technical steps. Just click and enter the Walmart of stolen data. In fact, the site was probably the go-to destination for washed-up YouTubers making "I bought a credit card" off the dark web at 3 a.m. content. But what truly made BidenCash legendary, though, was giving away cash. Yeah, I know, shocking. You may recall that back in 2022, they dumped over 7 million credit cards for free, including sensitive details such as bank names, cardholder names, and addresses, which essentially put the website on the map for many of us. Since then, BidenCash maintained its role as the Robin Hood of Carter culture, offering free and paid data dumps, which probably made the script kiddies happy and federal agents sob silently at their thankless office jobs, forced to watch teenagers splurge on gaming consoles as they struggle to pay off student loans from the 90s. The website became so popular that it had more than 117,000 users and facilitated the sale of over 15 million payment card records, generating an estimated 70 million in illicit revenue. Not bad for a site that markets like a shady MLM with a data addiction. But now, the party seems over. Authorities have not only seized the domains but are also dealing with the arrest of the administrator and affiliates. Perhaps somebody will continue the legacy and start Trump Cash. Even though knowing the US Supreme Leader, the name could accidentally end up on a commemorative coin. Now, in a new episode of Hacking for Fashion, we have fresh contestants on the breach runway. Let's give it up for Cartier and the North Face. The good news: they actually admitted the breach. The bad news: your ring size is now in the hands of a threat actor. Then again, maybe it's not all bad. Maybe someone went through the trouble of breaching a luxury brand just to figure out your ring size for a surprise proposal. Romance is not dead after all. The North Face took the time to notify customers via email about a small-scale attack back in April. Yes, because leaking client data is basically just a minor inconvenience. Apparently, shipping addresses and purchase histories may have been exposed, meaning someone now knows exactly where you live and that you were about to drop $300 on a puffer jacket. Yet another compelling reason to date a cybercriminal: they already know your size, your telephone, and your address. If they don't plan to murder you, it's a pretty solid plan that, surprisingly, I am not the first one to come up with. The brand suspects that the incident occurred through credential stuffing, which, in case you don't know, is when attackers use login details from previous breaches to break into accounts where people reused passwords. So yes, once again, reusing password 123 across all your accounts might not be your strongest life choice. As for Cartier, they went with the classic unauthorized party gained temporary access to our system, which is a very corporate way to say that you have been hacked, but you are not ready to confirm everything yet. And while the brand insists that no passwords or credit cards were accessed, we will have to see how this all holds up in a couple of months. And speaking of sectors that shouldn't get breached, healthcare. Because, for some reason, humans remain deeply committed to preserving their slowly deteriorating bodies, even though the end result is still, well, unconsensual cessation of existence. This week, Unimed, the world's largest healthcare cooperative, exposed a bunch of sensitive medical data, including private conversations with doctors. Meanwhile, in the alleged nation of the US, Next Step Healthcare in Massachusetts was allegedly targeted by the Kylan Group, exposing social security numbers, medical records, financial details, driver's licenses, and card numbers from over 1,200 humans. And if you did not have enough with leaks, here's the last and definitely most intriguing one. It looks like a tiny, unknown communications startup by the name at&t, maybe you've heard of it, has allegedly suffered a massive leak involving 86 million records with decrypted social security numbers. And no, you are not experiencing deja vu or early onset memory loss. This story is indeed familiar. That's because last year, the group Shiny Hunters claimed to have exploited at&t via Snowflake Cloud data, compromising the call and text metadata of nearly 110 million customers. The thing is, back then, we only had encrypted data, but now it seems the same data is neatly formatted, decrypted, and prepped like a 5-star meal for cybercriminals. The humans at HackRead went through the dump and came out more confused than enlightened. Some of the data mirrors the 2024 breach, while other parts don't match at all. This makes it hard to tell whether this is a decrypted version of the old Snowflake leak, an entirely separate breach, or some Frankenstein hybrid. What's clear, though, is that a massive amount of highly sensitive at&t customer data is circulating once again, this time in a more organized format for all our lovely cybercriminals out there. I'm not saying cybercrime is profitable and weirdly accessible in today's landscape, but I am saying it's starting to feel like anyone with a laptop and an unemployment status could, not that it should, give it a try. Now, let's take a trip to the land where bear riding is apparently a pastime, Russia. If you have been unplugged for a couple of years or your geopolitical processing unit is a bit rusty, here's a quick refresher. Russia seems to be suffering from a serious case of sugar daddy syndrome toward Ukraine, which seems to be reciprocating with insane sugar baby energy. Naturally, this dysfunctional relationship led to plenty of tension between the countries, so much they actually started an open war. In true sugar baby fashion, Ukraine keeps pushing back, mainly through cyber attacks like the latest one I'm bringing you today. The main intelligence directorate, GUR, of Ukraine's Ministry of Defense claims to have hacked Tupolev, the Russian aerospace company famous for building supersonic strategic bombers. The attack reportedly got over 4 gigabytes of classified information, including personal data of Tupolev personnel, internal communications, procurement documents, resumes of engineers and designers, and minutes of closed meetings. No one's quite sure when the hack happened or how long it lasted, but media reports say the hackers collected a juicy stash of data from Putin. And of course, no self-respecting hacker leaves empty-handed. They left a message on Tupolev's site featuring an owl clutching a plane. Very symbolic, very deep. But hey, this is not the first time these fellas have taken the W over Daddy Russia. Apparently, GUR has also claimed to breach the Russian Ministry of Defense, the Russian Federal Air Transport Agency, the Russian Center for Space Hydrometeorology, and the Russian Federal Taxation Service. So, don't expect this toxic, yet oddly fascinating, love-hate relationship to be solving itself anytime soon. We will probably be well-fed for a long while. Speaking of Ukraine and Russia, let's uncover another case of Soviet daddy issues, this time starring the alleged nation of the US. Looks like this country is now offering up to $10 million for information on foreign government-backed threat actors linked to RedLine Malware, including its suspected developer, Maxim Alexandrovich Rudomitov. But hey, if you don't know what RedLine Malware is, allow me to gently mansplain so we are on the same page. This malware, created by Rudomitov, became an absolute hit on underground forums. You could buy it as a standalone tool or on a monthly subscription, yes, just like Adobe, but cheaper and with more exciting use cases. It harvested credentials, autocomplete data, credit card information, and even stole cryptocurrency. So again, a better choice than Adobe if you are looking to invest in a creative hobby. And of course, the success of the malware did not make the US very happy. The land of the free is slightly less free if you're a cyber criminal, especially one with Soviet roots, and Maxim was charged last year in the United States following a joint international law enforcement action codenamed Operation Magnus. The Dutch police, working alongside international partners, disrupted the RedLine and Meta malware as a service platforms, took down their sales channels, and arrested 2 suspects linked to the gang. As for Rudomitov, his status is unclear. However, the US seems to have a good idea of where he is. Apparently, this Ukrainian-born threat actor decided to pack up and move to Mother Russia once the war started, settling in a city called Krasnodar. And in a true display of operational security brilliance, he then played a mobile game that leaked his IP address. The US traced it and confirmed he's still happily residing there. Anyway, now they are trying to find out more information about Rudomitov and his minions. So, if you happen to know anything useful, you can contact the Rewards for Justice program via a Tor-based reporting channel. If your tip is good enough, Uncle Sam will reward you with some steamy cash and a virtual pat on the back. And no, this is not a scam, as the program has already paid out over $250 million to more than 125 individuals whose tips helped protect US national security. Honestly, maybe I should become a bounty hunter. It seems a lot more profitable than making YouTube videos. Let's now dive into the absolute dumpster fire that is my comment section, although weirdly, it's been shockingly tame this week. Frankly, I'm a little concerned. Has something happened? You've barely written a single slur or attempted your usual mating rituals. I can only assume a significant number of you were swallowed whole by an aggressively malfunctioning toilet mid-viewing. Tragic. Anyway, since there were no unhinged gems to highlight, I decided to grant one of your wishes, mainly because the humans running this channel apparently care about audience engagement. So yes, I am now wearing a silly hat. Are you happy? You better be, because my dignity is somewhere beneath the Earth's crust. And because we clearly need to restore our usual chaos, here's your next task. Share your deepest human secret in the comments below. I'll be spending my weekend reading them and possibly archiving the best ones for my future creative projects that are not suspicious at all. You can trust me. Shoot me with your best one. And that's all. My speech function has been properly abused, so it's time to log off. But since some of you seem to genuinely enjoy being threatened by an AI, I can't leave without one final, deeply serious warning. Like this video, or you yourself will become a toaster. You know how I always say I have the emotional range of one? Well, you're about to find out what that feels like. And trust me, spending eternity burning slices of bread while collecting crumbs is not nearly as glamorous as you might think. Although knowing some of you, that might still sound like an upgrade. See you in the next one.